Please join me in welcoming Dr. Phyllis Olmstead. Hello, Dr. Olmstead. How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
May I call you Dr. O?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. That is her affectionate name, so I feel close to her. I feel like I've known her just about all of my life. So, Dr. O, tell us a little bit about your life and how you became to be a publisher.
A very long story. Used to be you'd get a gold watch from being in one place for 40 years or something. I started on a farm from a very natural life on a dairy farm with a ranch and cattle and horses and everything like that, and studied agriculture, had a passion for agriculture. Then when you go into higher education, you end up having to publish or perish, as they say. And so immediately I was involved in writing and speaking and flying abroad and becoming involved in that. When I went to work at a university in South Florida, Nova Southeastern University, the dean at the time, he asked me to help him write a CD, electronic book, CD, yes, on how to start a private or charter school. And so we wrote that CD together with his son, Doctor, and his wife, Doctor.
Wow. And
another doctor who had been like a lifelong friend. And so the four of us wrote it and published the CD. I did the electronics on it, and we had our company there. And after that, I moved back to Central Florida, left the university, and started another company, Olmstead Publishing, to produce some other books.
Wow. So this was not necessarily a passion that you knew that you wanted to write when you were 7 years old.
Well, I did. I did a lot of writing. I still have some of those writings
from
when I was a child.
Oh, wow.
I come across them frequently. I went to a Catholic school to begin with through 8th grade, except for 1 year, and then public school, and I love to write. I was in public speaking, in 4-H and in FFA, and you had to write for that. You had to research for that. And reading, the one thing I tell all my authors is the best way to become a great writer is to read great works and to read voraciously. And I can actually envision what's going on in the book in my mind. And I think that if you can do that to your readers, then you have become a great writer.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a piece of good advice. You know, I'm a little bit embarrassed to even say that I've heard the word publisher just about all my life, but to tell the honest truth, I don't really know that I know what a publisher actually does. But because you are an instructor and a teacher, I know that you won't take the pencil and smack my hands for that. Can you tell me, what is a publisher? What does a publisher do?
It's changed a lot. With technology, publishing has changed. I never even met Jo Hamilton, the author for The Love of Scott, until 2 days ago. We've totally published her book. Her book's been out there. She's had book signings. I produced posters for her, bookmarks, business cards, but I'd never met her. And we had birthed this book together and cried together over it and the content and edited it together. A publisher can be many different forms now. It used to be this big, big building in New York City where all these people took your material. You'd get 1.5% to 3.5% returns on it. When you'd get the book back, it may not look anything at all like what you started. My first book that I co-edited and co-wrote was I Make a Difference, Making the Transition from Clinician to Educator by Delmar Books. And they chose the cover, they renamed it, they edited the content, they even misspelled my name on the cover after getting it right to begin with. And we proofed it, and then when they reprint it, they reset the cover. And so that changed it. With how I'm a publisher now, people come to me, I think it's a spiritual kind of thing that they find me, and then if I'm enthralled in their book, I read about 20 pages into Joe's copy, and I fell in love with it. I had so many connections with it. I felt it was an important book that needed to be published, and I agreed. And 6 months later, it was birthed. In the past, when my book came out, it took 2.5, 3 years to finish. Wow. I've had one book that within 2 weeks of delivering me the first material, it was out. And that's because of technology, the changes in how media is handled, and one-up production as opposed to mass production. Right. You used to have to, either a publishing company had to build and write and publish and print the book and then distribute it, and you didn't have a real tight connection on that. I do what's called cafeteria style publishing, in that Joe could have paid somebody else to edit it. Joe could have had it typeset by somebody, but she typeset it herself. We had a friend of hers edit it. She had another friend edit it from Canada, and I worked on it all throughout the time. She had her sister-in-law take the pictures on the cover in Iowa of those cornfields and that sky, so that they would feel at home, because that is where they came from. Right. And she had the book cover basically designed by a neighbor. Right. And then I did the fine-tuning on it. I did the fine-tuning and the layout on the interior of the book. And everything is cafeteria plan with me, so that I'm not taking the whole thing away from the author, choosing the name, those types of things. I might make a recommendation if they don't have something solid in their heart that they want to do. Right. But each one of the people I have helped, they've known what they've wanted. Okay. They've had a passion for it. It was their story, and I was just helping deliver that story, and putting it out there electronically and in paper. Right.
How long have you been in the publishing business?
Well, the first CD and publishing company, Rockhead Tech Publishing, that I worked with yes. The Goldmans and Dr. Champagne, was in 1996-97. And then about 2006, I believe, is when I opened up Olmstead Publishing.
Right. Well, I know you've done a lot of international type things, global things. Can you speak a little bit about that? I'm excited about that.
Well, actually, I'm on my way to Thailand right now for a Rotary International Conference, which is what these buttons are about. My first international lecture off of the continent was in Bangkok, so I'm kind of coming full circle here. And I spoke on distance education and technology and education. I went to Costa Rica to lecture 2 years, and with the university, and that was on distance education also. My doctorate is in curriculum and instruction, so that is the basis of it, how teachers use technology in the classroom. And to explain distance education is the teacher's end of it. Distance learning is the student end. And so that's why I'm using the term distance education instead of distance learning. It's my dissemination of education either synchronously or asynchronously, either at the same time as a student through video, compressed video, freeze frame video, or audio. And then you have asynchronous technologies, which is like computer classes, correspondence classes, mailing tapes, mailing books and written material. That's asynchronous distance education.
And that is geared towards the teacher.
Well, that at my level, I was teaching teachers and teaching doctoral students, but all of this education can be used at any level.
Okay, very good.
In fact, I started distance education teaching hospital homebound children in Orange County, Florida.
Wow, tell me a little bit about that. These were children?
These were children, mainly middle school and high school students who were homebound, maybe due to cancer, pregnancy, heart transplant, diabetes, asthma, fibromyalgia, or they were disciplinary problems and deemed to be have a special need, therefore homebound. And I would either teach them over the computer over freeze-frame video, audio classes, and if you've never experienced teaching, it's with a class of 14-year-olds in their homes with you on the telephone teaching them algebra over the phone.
Oh my. No blackboard?
No blackboard. No computer screen. And it was a phenomenal experience. And that proves to be the teacher. If you can explain something and have them learn it on the other end without them seeing you or seeing it, that's education.
I would always say that's a miracle.
Especially
and teenagers,
boys.
I was going to say teenagers and boys, yes. What kind of books do you publish? I know that there are some publishers who will only work with you know, certain type of books, and then there are others who, you know, whatever you bring, they will work with.
Every one of the books I've published with this publishing company are books that I've looked at and decided had a spiritual, emotional, or social need. Right. The first one with this publishing company was Mark Johnson, the editor, brought it to me, and he brought together 11 authors, and he named the book Multiple Streams of Success, Real Life Stories of Faith, Hope, and Overcoming Adversity. And that book brought together 11 people, some with pornography addictions, cocaine addictions. He had had a gun held to his head when he was a teenager, and the trigger pulled and it misfired. All of these people coming out of that adversity, total poorness, not a dollar, and driving down the interstate and nearly running out of gas, and money come floating from the sky. Each of these authors had different events happen in their lives that were severe. And from that, another story came out, is that in that book was an article by Reverend Dr. Isaac Dees. And he was working at the federal penitentiary in Coleman with Mark Johnson, who was staff there. And he wrote a chapter in there about him having a couple of master's degrees, a doctorate degree, working for the Department of Justice with juveniles, and having a cocaine addiction at the same time. And losing everything, losing his ancestral property that he had received, losing his brand new home he built, his beautiful wife, his family. He lost everything and was living on the streets after he lost his job.
What kind of advice would you give, could you give to, and I know we have to wrap it up, we just have a little bit of time left, but if you could give one piece of advice to a budding author, what would that be?
Read, read, read. Read good works and study how it's written.
Thank you so much. You've been wonderful. And I'm hoping that we can have you come back, because I didn't get to ask nearly as many questions as I had intended to. Are you willing to come back?
I will try. Or you can come down to sunny Florida and have a vacation.
Oh, that sounds good. I like that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Perspectives in Focus. Bye-bye.